أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن نشأ ننزل عليهم من السماء آية لعلك باخع أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لعلك باخع نفسك ألا يكونوا مؤمنين إن نشأ ننزل عليهم من السماء آية فظلت أعناقهم لها خاضعين وما يأتيهم من ذكر من الرحمن محدث إلا كانوا عنه معرضين. آخرین شب جمعه ماه رمضان. So that we remember all those who have passed on, and may Allah forgive all of our sins in this month. Please send aloud salawat. با اجازه همه بزرگان و اساتید I'm going to flip between Farsi and English تا اونجایی که میتونم, so that way everybody can benefit or nobody can benefit, so we'll see what happens. Oh, my penny is still here. خب ادامه بحث دیشب we focused on سوره الشعراء. We started to first describe the approach towards the Quran as one of pattern recognition instead of because that's what my expertise is. I'm not well versed in the fields of Arabic grammar or ahkam or anything like that. So every time I approach the Quran, I try to look at it from the perspective of what patterns can be extracted from it. دیشب گفتیم مدل دو جوره. There's two types of patterns. One type of pattern is یه فرمولی داره, right? 2 4 6 8 بعدش چیه؟ 10. Right? فرمولش چی بود؟ از رو قبلی 2 تا اضافه کنید. And then you'll get the next one, you'll get the next one, you'll get the next one. خب این pattern یه فرمول داشت. My penny was still here. The next pattern we had was خب اینو هی انداختم گفتم heads, بعد گفتم tails, بعد گفتم heads, بعد گفتم tails, بعد گفتم heads, بعد گفتم heads, بعد گفتم tails. گفتیم اینم یه فرمول داره زیرش. But it's not a definitive formula. It's not a deterministic formula. It's a formula that 50% heads, 50% tails. اینم میشه یه مدل. احتمال این که بعدش heads باشه I can make a guess. So there's an underlying pattern underneath it. Quran has both kinds of patterns present within it, as we talked last night. گفتیم the most obvious one خب بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم بود. اول هر سوره با بسم الله شروع میشه. Except for one. گفتیم that is called an anomaly. When something is absent خب آدم توجهش بهش میره, right? I'm expecting to see blue بعد یهو مشکی دیدم. من میخواستم آبی ببینم چرا یهو مشکی شد. یعنی it caught my attention. I think فارسی میگن جلب توجه کرد, right? So it attracted more emphasis towards it. So even in the absence of a pattern or in the break of a pattern, there's a lesson just because there is no pattern. We talked about Surah Ar-Rahman. اونجا هم یه pattern more direct بود. There was more in یه فرمول خاصی زیرش داشت. بعد اومدیم به سوره الشعراء. سوره الشعراء is of the latter type. It's not a fixed model. It's not a fixed or a known pattern. We said the context of Surah Al-Shu'ara in بود که خب پیغمبر, the ayahs that we read in the beginning, was, for lack of a better word, frustrated. He, for many years, همه را به راه حق دعوت میکرد, خب مردم گوش نمیدادن. لعلك باخع نفسك ألا يكونوا مؤمنين. Allah tells the Prophet, are you frustrated that these people aren't believing in what you're preaching to them? اگر من میخواستم, خدا میگه خیلی کار راحت میتونستم انجام بدم. I could have sent down signs. همشون باور میکردم. It would have been easy. But I didn't do that. I didn't do it for a reason. Then we said he talks in Surah Ash-Shu'ara to give the Prophet که باش دلداری بکنه 7 stories. First was Prophet Musa, then Prophet Ibrahim, then Prophet Nuh, then Hud, then Salih, then Lut, then Shu'aib. The first pattern we noticed was these prophets are out of order. به ترتیب نیستن. چرا به ترتیب نیستن? Well, one of the answers we gave last night was because تو سوره صافات خب به ترتیب اومدن. So it's not uncommon که به ترتیب بیان. It's not always mixed up. پس اینجا Allah has broken his pattern. So he's drawing emphasis towards it. So the context will drive away is یکی از شبیه ترین پیغمبرهایی هم به زمان پیغمبر خودمون هم به زمان خودمون, as we'll get into the story tonight, is Prophet Musa. The story of Prophet Musa comes in many places in the Quran. I mistakenly said last night, you corrected me, that the story of him and the magicians comes in Surah Anbiya and Shu'ara and Qasas. البته تو سوره طه میاد, it's not an Anbiya, it's an Araf. Alifisha چیز کردم. I got the first name of Alif wrong. So the story of him and the magicians, Hazrat Musa wa Sahiran, comes in 3 surahs. Surah Qasas, okay, we came and said, it's the only surah that comes and says, in dastan ra bihaq. برای شما I'm going to come and tell you که با حق بهش میگم, یه صفت اکسترای بالحق اومد اضافه کرد. It's not in there. It overlooks this part of Prophet Musa's story. So tonight we're going to delve in a little bit into Prophet Musa's story که وقتی با فرعون مواجه شد چی شد for the first time, and then we're going to end it and take the lesson away from how can we apply that template to our lives today. So before telling any good story, you have to introduce the characters, right? So the first character that we're going to introduce is that of a very evil man. The villain in the story is Fir'aun. Fir'aun is an interesting character, actually, even though he's a bad guy. It's like the Joker in Batman, right? It was a good character, but he was a bad guy. In Surah Qasas, and I haven't seen, but I haven't studied very hard either, so take this for what it's worth. که خداوند انقدر صریح and so clear comes and describes the villain of a story. But in همه تأکید. To use a little bit of what I learned from Haj Agha, آیه 4 سوره قصص هم با این شروع میشه, which is a حرف تأکید, ادات تأکید, هم جمله اسمی است. It starts with Fir'aun. So it's تأکید upon تأکید upon تأکید. That I want to tell you who this Fir'aun is. خدا میاد میگه. He doesn't attribute Fir'aun to any awsaf. That's something that's really interesting. Sifati bara Fir'aun he doesn't use over here. He starts to describe him با فعل. اونم دو نوع فعل. یه فعل ماضی, دو تا فعل ماضی با سه تا فعل مضارع. First one, إن فرعون, خب این تأکید و تأکید و تأکید بر فرعون, علا فی الارض. That's the first thing he did. اینم با فعل ماضی. On the land, خودش خیلی, he gave himself a high stature. حالا به فارسی چی میشه؟ وجعل أهلها شیعا. He came, فرقه راه انداخت. Among the people of this land, he came and he made groups. These are the only two که با فعل ماضی اومده. Then, يستضعف طائفة منهم, that's the third. يذبح أبناءهم, that's the fourth. ويستحيي نساءهم. Then it comes and puts a sifat, but not in the form of a common sifat. Unambo kana is a weird verb. It's like a linking verb. It's like is. It's not a verb, but it's not a noun or anything either. So innahu was the word ta'kid. Kana min al mufsidi. So let's go through these 5 attributes. We'll ignore the last one because that's too much. إنه كان من المفسدين خدا در واقعا میکوبه فرعون. So we'll go through the 5 verbs because there's an interesting pattern there too. با 2 تا فعل ماضی شروع کرد. علا فی الارض وجعل اهلها شیعا. He only saw himself better than people and at a high stature once. Once that thought came in his mind, دیگه that was it. He did it. کار تموم. He didn't have to rethink it. دیگه the rest of that went with it. That's how dangerous that sifat is, or that action is. وَجَعَلَ أَهْلَهَا شِيَعًا. He made groups among the people. Did he have to constantly go and remake groups? No. Once you divide the people, you're done. You don't have to go redivide them and start to confuse them now. اگر واقعا میخواید if you want to take over a place, there's the common rule in war is divide and conquer. It doesn't say divide and then divide again and then divide again and then divide again. No, just divide and then conquer. Then continuously he does 3 things. So once خودش بالا دید, then فرق کرد, then continuously he started to do يستضعف طائفة منهم. He started to shoot people in the leg, as we say. ضعیف کرد مردم in each of these فرقas. And you notice he had to divide them first before he started to continuously do this. It wouldn't have worked if everybody was together and united. He had to get them in different pockets, and then start to slowly erode each group independently. Maybe not in the same way, but each group was starting to do this action of za'af upon them independently. Then, so there's 2 tafsirs here. One is يُذَبِّحُ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيِي نِسَاءَهُمْ تَعْرِيفَ يَسْتَضْعِفُ طَائِفَةً مِّنْهُمْ. So that's the larger action, and then the 2 sub-actions under it, مِشَى يُذَبِّحُ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيِي نِسَاءَهُم. He started to kill the children, kill the sons in particular. What's interesting here is he comes and says أَبْنَاءَهُمْ. This will prevent any specific group from raising an army or having people within with the strength, at least culturally back then, to be able to stand against him, right? وَيَسْتَحْيِي نِسَاءَهُمْ. And he took the ladies, and what's interesting is here, it calls this out too, as his slaves. And this continuously happened as well. So not only would he not let children be born, but nor would he let a mother's touch discipline the next generation. And so this got the groups that he had made among wherever he was, in this case Misr, Egypt, to not have the immediate power to either rise against him, to overthrow him. It takes a lot of smarts to be able to not only do these things, but at the same time allow it to go on for so long. Right now, the big news in the tech land is the CEO of Uber has had to resign. He's made a great company, but he couldn't hold on to it. So just because you make something great doesn't mean that's the end of the story. You have to make sure whatever you have made, you have been able to stabilize for yourself too. Pharaoh was among those that was able to do that for a long period of time. That's the first main character in the story. That was Pharaoh. Again in Surah Qasas, we'll hear about Prophet Musa. Prophet Musa, has a long story in Surah Qasas, a really long story in Surah Qasas. If you're interested, go read Surah Qasas. The first is about his mother and his birth. How it was a secret, how she had to put him in the river, how he ended up in Pharaoh's house, being raised in Pharaoh's house. This is the ultimate sign of tahqir for Pharaoh. The person who's gonna overthrow you in N years from now is the guy that you helped raise. How crazy is that? He was raised in Pharaoh's house. He ended up back with his mother as well. So Hazrat Musa was able to get the best of both worlds, or the best of whatever the world Pharaoh could provide him was. He got to a point where an action was committed in Egypt. It got him to leave Egypt, and we'll come back to what that action was as we start to continue in the story. He went, he got married, and this, at least for the youth in the hall, is probably the most important part. He studied and practiced and took Hazrat Shu'aib as a mentor for 10 years. 10 years. Hazrat Shu'aib khali zarang بود. If you read in Surah Taha, or no, I think it's Surah Qasas actually, it comes and says ثمانية حجاج که فقط 8 سال قرار با هم میبندیم, that you will I will take you as a prodigy, or as a, in Star Wars you say it's a Padawan. ولی وَأَتْمَمْنَاهَا بِعَشْرٍ. He ended it with 10 years. So he got 2 extra years. Hala, did Hazrat Musa want to stay the 2 extra years because he enjoyed it so much? That's most likely the case. But before something great could happen, he had to go through this. He had to go through a period of 10 years of direct study under a prophet to get the physical and mental capability of this world so that he could now then go and face Pharaoh when the time came. You'll notice young people, at least the folks that I work with, whenever they try to start up a small company, they want to become Google overnight. They want to become Uber overnight. It doesn't happen. Google was founded in the late 90s, early 2000s. Only in the past 5, 6, 7 years has it really exploded. And now unbeatable. There is no such thing as, oh, I have this idea is going to make me a billionaire. You have to take the time to study. You have to take the time to work. From the ahadith of the tafsir of the ayahs of that are in the tafsir of the ayahs in Surah Qasas, where it describes the relationship of Hazrat Musa with Hazrat Shu'aib when he was a student. And I'm emphasizing on this part for a reason, then we'll jump back to Surah Shu'ara. خیلی زحمت کشید Hazrat Musa. It wasn't that, oh, I'll wake up at 8, I'll sleep at 4. Day in, day out, he was studying, he was tending to tending to the farms and everything else of Hazrat Shu'aib. He had pretty much become Hazrat Shu'aib's right-hand man to be able to run everything that Hazrat Shu'aib was running. Both personally, as well as all of Hazrat Shu'aib's more larger efforts. Because Hazrat Shu'aib هم پیغمبر بود. Once he was ready, he left with his family, not without his family. And then Wahy umad, when he was alone, or when he went towards the tree, ke inni ana Allah, and it commanded him to go to Pharaoh and do ABC. That ABC will start now we'll come back to Surah Shu'ara. So this story is described, what's interesting about this story is because it's described in I think more than 3 or 4 different areas, it's in 3 or 4 different contextual perspectives. So we'll focus on the one for Surah Shu'ara. So the point of Surah Shu'ara, if you recall, was Dildari be Hazrat Payghambar, because of all of the advice and all of the calls to the Rah Haq that he was doing, مردم گوش نمیدادن. So این قسمت داستان را خداوند خلاصه کرده تو این سوره. He didn't go into detail here. It's in detail in Surah Araf and in more detail in Surah Qasas. Particularly the conversation between Allah and Hazrat Musa. So we said last night, Hazrat Musa, he was commanded to go to Fir'aun, but Hazrat Musa made one request before going. در واقع اینجا he talks about 4 potential obstacles that would be between him and being able to get Prophet Musa to be able to get Fir'aun and his people to listen. The first one was قال رب إني أخاف أن يكذبون. I fear, a prophet-like fear, not a our kind of fear. It's a 2 different kind of خوف. إني أخاف أن يكذبون. I'm worried که منو تکذیب میکنن. Next, ويضيق صدري. I don't have the I don't even know what the English translation of this is. I don't have the right expression or the right capability to be able to, I guess, singly handle this. So it's when you take on a large effort, it comes with a lot of pressure. وَلَا يَنْطَلِقُ لِسَانِي, and my tongue will not be as eloquent. So خداوند این دعا را از من استجاب کن. فَأَرْسِلْ إِلَى هَارُونَ. What's interesting here is these 4 obstacles aren't 4 obstacles that Prophet Musa is actually scared of or worried about. یا یه ضعف خاصی داره. This is going to be a lesson for all of us, so that way, N years down the road, when there is a prophet that shows up and comes and says that there is going to be a person that is going to be next to me, that is going to help me spread this religion in the right way and understand this religion in the same way that Harun was close to Musa, we all have a reference back to that story. It's amazing how the foundations were laid well before these incidents were taking place. خب, Allah said, go. Chash. Take Hazrat Musa. In Surah Araf, in Surah Taha and in Surah Shu'ara, there's not a contradiction, but there's a different perspective of telling the story. In Surah Taha, it starts and says, اذهب أنت وأخوك بآياتي. Where did I want to go? Here. اذهب أنت وأخوك بآياتي ولا تنيا في ذكري اذهبا إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Even though you're going to this person who I've just described in Surah Qasas is such an evil guy, این همه طغیان انجام داده, right? So he was a طغیانگر. قال لا تخافا. Oh, sorry. قال لا تخافا إنني معكما أسمع وأرى. In Surah Shu'ara, it comes and says something different. It comes and says only إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ مُسْتَمِعُونَ. So there's 2 differences here. The first difference is that in Surah Shu'ara, he only says one thing. I'm hearing all that's going to happen. But in Surah Taha, he comes and says two things. Ham I'll hear it, Ham I'll see it. Second difference is in Surah Taha, it's singular. He comes and says, Inni ara wa asma, or asma'u wa ara. In Surah Shu'ara, he comes and says, Inna ma'akum mustami'un. ما میشنویم و با شما هستیم. We hear you. Again, it's the context of the story. Here, the Prophet needed to hear a sign of greatness. Here, that wasn't necessary. But what it does is it allows you to piece together this story in such a nice way, because we do it too. When you're telling a story from different contextual perspective, یه ذره بر اونور داستان عوض میشه. And it's not that the story changed. It's that your description is slightly different to match the needs of the time. So, he came to Fir'aun. The first question I had was, what was the tone he took? In the first, فَأْتِيَا فِرْعَوْنَ فَقُولَا, they came and said, إِنَّا رَسُولُ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. If you go look in Surah Taha, how did God command them to take their tone? وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. So even to this most evil of people, قُولُوا قَوْلًا لَيِّنًا. Don't come and just yell at him or demean him. Talk to him in a way, because he might, I think it's the exact verb in Surah Taha is akhsha. He may become humble. So speak with the right tone. Yes, you're going to face a very evil person, but speak with the right tone. For two reasons. One, because of him. Two, because you're going to be talking to him, but there's other people that are going to be around him. So Hazrat Musa comes and says two things, and it's the same in both surahs. First, Inna Rasulu Rabbil Alameen. Second, An Arsil Ma'ana Bani Israel. Immediately he comes and says, look, I'm the Prophet from Rabbil Alameen. Send An Arsil Ma'ana, with us, Bani Israel. Look how genius this step is. He immediately jumps straight to send with me Bani Israel, because he knows what Fir'aun is going to do. Fir'aun khayli zarang bud. Fir'aun launched two attacks on Prophet Musa in this setting. The first attack was personal. The second one was ideological. The personal attack was قَالَ أَلَمْ نُرَبِّكَ فِينَا وَلِيدًا وَلَبِثْتَ فِينَا مِنْ عُمُرِكَ سِنِينَ. Did you not benefit from growing up in my castle and under me, with me, while you were young and you grew to, did I not raise you? And then the second one was وَفَعَلْتَ فَعْلَتَكَ الَّتِي فَعَلْتَ وَأَنْتَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. If you're on Jeopardy, we gave a fun one last night, we'll give another one tonight, and you see this ayah show up, what you should do is say, it's the ayah that has the most tongue twister in it. You'll notice he's referring here to Surah Qasas, to that incident that took place between Prophet Musa and that soldier. Hazrat Musa hit him in the chest, and that soldier ended up dying. What's really interesting here, and even in all the other places where this conversation is brought up, Fir'aun doesn't bring up the specific action. Or at least the Quran doesn't mention that he brought up the specific action that took place. So that means one of two things. Number one, Fir'aun didn't know what the specific action was. He just knew his intelligence agencies weren't that great. They didn't collect enough data on Hazrat Musa to be able to come and tell Fir'aun exactly what happened. So Fir'aun had to guess. Hazrat Musa did something wrong, I'm just going to accuse him of doing something wrong. Hazrat Musa had two even better answers for Fir'aun. First, he addressed the second question. He didn't address the first question. قال, Hazrat Musa said, فَعَلْتُهَا إِذَنْ وَأَنَا مِنَ الضَّالِّينَ. Yes, I did do this. I did do this. He didn't come and deny it. But you notice Hazrat Musa also, he capitalized on Fir'aun not belaboring the details, and he also didn't belabor the details. Sure, yeah, I did do it. فَفَرَرْتُ مِنْكُمْ لَمَّا خِفْتُكُمْ فَوَهَبَ لِي رَبِّي حُكْمًا وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And then we'll end with this part. وَتِلْكَ نِعْمَةٌ تَمَنُّهَا عَلَيَّ أَنْ عَبَدْتَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ. You're telling me that I should be appreciative of growing up in your palace when I'm asking you to send with me the people who built your castle. What kind of minnat is this? If Hazrat Musa did not ask for Bani Israel in the very beginning, he couldn't have followed up with this kind of response. And right here, now Hazrat Musa went on the offensive. After they had a small ideological discussion about God. We have to go fast. He went on the offensive and he showed him two miracles. One of punishment with a snake, another one of guidance with the light. And then Fir'aun lost it. He started to realize everything was starting to fall up in shambles. The main takeaway, at least for us younger folks about this, is don't forget what Hazrat Musa went through to be able to positively deliver in this kind of situation. It wasn't that he just showed up after 50 years to Fir'aun's palace and said these things, and then all of a sudden Fir'aun's entire dynasty began to fall. No. He went through years of hard work, years of studying, was able to find a companion like Harun, bring that companion with him, and then collectively face Fir'aun. Big actions and actions that have large impact require this kind of preconditions. Inshallah, for all of us in Akhirin Shab Mah Ramazan, Akhirin Parsham Shab Jum'ah Mah Ramazan, we're able to benefit from the way and lessons that Hazrat Musa and our Prophet and Imam Mahdi have laid forward for us. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. Salawat.
In the